start.
How about the Corvette crew?
The battle is absolutely raging on the high banks.
And their 100th program win. Look at the celebration.
The crew, drivers, everybody just performed perfectly today.
These two Corvettes side by side. It is Gavin.
Thrill for everybody at Corvette Racing and our C7R teammates Jan here. He did a brilliant job.
Thanks, buddy.
Brilliant.
For coming to Corvette and experiencing the love from the fans, to go and talk to them and listen to them, sign autographs, take pictures, sign their cars, was absolutely amazing.
One place that deep-rooted passion was on full display was at the historic 24 Hours of Le Mans, where the two teammates would begin a 3-year run of success at the ultimate endurance race.
We'd all dreamed about going to the 24 Hours of Le Mans.
Absolutely, Le Mans is the pinnacle of racing. It felt like a year worth of testing, and then one weekend in June, we were showing everybody what we had.
You get the goosebumps when you go and stand there on the grid when everybody's lining up. It's just such a special event.
We're on the Mulsanne Strait, if you've ever been there, and you hear this full-throated Chevrolet V8 just screaming through the woods at the middle of the night. People would flock to the track.
We had endeared ourselves to the fan base in Europe. We had endeared ourselves to our fan base here, and we knew there was going to be that burden. We were carrying the mantle, not just for Corvette, but for America as well.
Certainly those Le Mans victories, 2004 to 2006, were really something very, very special. You know, that was, I look back on that period really with great fondness. He loved to chase somebody. So my engineer would be always talking about, do not go out in front of Jan, because it's that sort of, that carrot that he sometimes needs.
Oh, the twice round the clock classic begins now.
The race had progressed very well for us. The cars are running 1-2. Ali was in the lead car, and Antonio was in the second place car. And it was quite evident that the closure rate that Antonio was having on Oliver, when we were coming down to the finish line, these two guys were going to be capable of racing each other.
You know, a lot of other teams might have issued instructions, say, hey, follow each other, you're staying where you're at. And Mark Royce was standing behind us. He said, let him race, so we got to let him race.
Both drivers were told you are allowed to race.
There was a look of inquisitiveness. Why would we ever want to just let them race? And I said, look around the pit box. Look at the faces on these guys who have just spent the last 23 hours sleepless. How are you going to tell them that you're going to rob them of their opportunity to win the race?
Jim Campbell, Mark Royce, everybody at GM, Pratt and Miller are incredibly proud and incredibly nervous.
But Ollie and Antonio raced each other super hard, but super fair. But it got a little bit exciting because, okay, that's also when things can go wrong.
Garcia now along the outside, and that run allows him to take it down.
Can he stop it? No!
Oh, he's going to get inside. He's going to get him. Gavin gets back.
I remember coming off of the final bus stop chicane for the final time, and I remember doing what I would do in a go-kart, and I'll be jumping up and down, trying to make the car go faster, and I'll be sort of like willing the car on to the finish line.
Here we go. This is GT Le Mans at its finest. These two Corvettes side by side at the line. It is Gavin and Corvette number 4 winning at Daytona.
It also showed that the whole team really are true racers.
I think it's the one that someone like Gary Pratt was the most proud of, to have both of his cars there competing like that so hard and that close together at the end of the race. I think that's one of the races he's most proud of.
And Ali, I can't tell you how much I appreciate what you've done for Corvette racing. You guys are so deserving to be in the Hall of Fame, and I'm glad they're bringing you both in at the same time. Great job, guys.
The Corvette, with its sleek lines and powerful presence, epitomizes the American spirit of innovation, freedom, and adventure. Through just a simple photograph, it transforms into a visual narrative, preserving its legacy for future generations. Each image captures not just a car, but a moment in history, And perhaps nobody has played a more pivotal role in capturing that history than journalist and photographer Richard Prince.
And he always anticipated to be at the right place at the right time to catch that perfect action shot of Corvette or the crew or the pit stop.
The photograph that comes to my mind all the time is back to that 2016 finish where you saw those two cars coming over the line together. He's got one with the two cars coming over the line for our first victory at Le Mans. I mean, when you see those photographs and you have experienced that, you have a complete chapter written in your mind that is inspired by looking at that one picture.
Super talented guy.
After 9/11, we decided to dedicate our cars to the fallen in New York. The photographs that he took of those cars were symbolic of unity, standing together, respect for the fallen.
The whole process. So he fit in great.
We tease him all the time about how much time it takes him to set up a photograph. You know, my Social Security's going to run out before we get this picture taken, okay? But at the end of the day, when you look at what the final product is, he makes us proud to be part of that picture. We should be judged.
He's written several books, I think 4 or 5 books. His latest one, Corvette 70 Years, the one and only. And that one sold out right away, went into a second printing, and was even.
Corvette's engineering legacy traces back to its inception, when the godfather of the Corvette, Zora Arkus Duntov, laid the groundwork for a relentless pursuit of automotive excellence. This commitment to innovation has been a defining trait throughout its history. Throughout its storied journey, only 5 individuals have held the prestigious title of Corvette Chief Engineer. Taj Juchter stands out as perhaps the most influential since Arkus Duntov. Juchter's vision and leadership modernized the Corvette, steering it through 5 generations, and ultimately realizing Arkus Duntov's 60-year-old dream with the groundbreaking mid-engine C8. As we celebrate his remarkable contributions, let's take a look back at his journey.
Both he and I, in our younger days, were interested in blowing stuff up. What kid's not interested in destruction and carnage?
Engineers are wired differently, and Taj was the epitome of being wired differently.
None of my parents and none of my community that I grew up in had engineers. I thought an engineer was the guy who ran the train. You know, it's just, so I had to find that position, and then I found it in college just by migrating towards courses I liked.
At the University of Rochester, Taj would pursue a degree in mechanical and aerospace engineering, where he
got jobs. I said, you know what? I'll go with you. I'll go with you to Michigan. I'll do it for 2 or 3 years, and then I'll make my next career choice. Well, that was in 1979. That your job is not what you define it as or what your boss defines it as. Your job is team success. Whatever it takes, your job is to get the best product into the hands of the customers.
Recession in the late 2000s would have an impact on the entire industry and would cause delays in the brand's 7th generation.
The C7 was supposed to be a mid-engine car, and we were at the beginning stages, but working hard. It was legitimate. It was supported by leadership. Right before the bankruptcy, I got a call from one of my bosses who said, well, it wasn't even on the agenda to talk about, but as a roundtable item, it was brought up that do we feel right about doing a new Corvette given how much financial strain the whole industry is in? And people said, yeah, it's probably not the right time. And so they just called me and said, cease and desist, stop. If you look at the design language of the car, we completely rethought the interior and wanted to bring it up to the highest standards and really make it a cockpit, make it a driver-focused environment with nothing but premium materials. And so that was our next step up, moving the brand strength up in credibility, trying to be fully competitive with the best cars in the world.
We do say, and Corvette Taj is a big advocate for this, that we don't just employ technology for technology's sake. It has to make the car better. It has to make the customer's experience better. And so our formula is to constantly trump ourselves. That's what we do. We make something better. We outdo ourselves. The next generation outdoes the previous.
In 2011, Edge came to us and said, we got approval to do a mid-engine car.
There are so many things that Taj brought to the brand, but I think the final distillation would be the C8 Corvette. As Zora had his name attached to the Corvette in general, Taj will have his name attached to the C8. No question about that. It's his single most greatest achievement in my eyes.
I remember seeing the first C8 with him. It's a masterpiece. And it's such a halo car for Chevrolet dealers. And it entered into a new world. We were trading Porsches and Ferraris and all these exotics for Corvettes. And that was his talent, bringing those cars to the market.
We knew that we're going to bring this car out against the best manufacturers in the world who'd had multiple generations to perfect their rear or mid-engine cars. And so the fear we lived in is we had to get it right on the very first swing. We wanted to get all the pluses of a mid-engine, but none of the negatives.
Always been the tip of the spear when it comes to performance, attainable value. It's got this massive, massive following of people that may have nothing else in common except a Corvette. It brings people together from all walks of life.
We would never be so arrogant as to say we know better than our customers. They're the ones putting their hard-earned money into it, and lots of good ideas have come from customers.
Taj was on the Performance and Corvette team with over 130 overall wins and 14 manufacturers' championships, and Taj was part of the equation.
Obviously, his main job is the production car, but he inspired the team so much to let us know how important it was to the production group to have that team be successful.
He's got a very gentle way about directing and leading people, and that's always been appreciated.
Humble, approachable, and always composed. I worked with Taj so many times in very high-stress situations. I've never seen Taj mad. I've never seen him yell, never seen him raise his voice.
I'm here to tell you that Taj was the living embodiment of perfection, but he's pretty damn close.
In April 2024, Taj announced his retirement from General Motors. His final project, the C8 Corvette ZR1, the most powerful Corvette ever created, is a fitting culmination of his illustrious career.
Someone once said it's a nice thing to hit a home run at your last at-bat. This fantastic ZR1, your crowning achievement, is much more than a home run. In fact, it's the biggest, fastest checkered flag I've ever seen. Thank you for making our company better. Thank you for leaving us with the fastest and most powerful Corvette ever. And thank you for being a great friend to me and to the whole team.
Obviously, I'm honored. I'm honored primarily because of the people who are in there. You know, the inductees who went before me. I couldn't do the job I did without all of those people and more who've put their heart and soul into this car for all of these years. And so we stand on the shoulders of those giants. The most fulfilling part for me is, and everybody says, what's your favorite part about the job? What's your, what are you most proud of? And most people expect me to say the car. And we're super proud of the car. We obviously love the car, but I think the thing I'm most proud of is the team.
He has patience, he has empathy, he has integrity, but most of all, he's got a vision. And the vision is the best darn sports car in the world for the Corvette owners that are sitting here in the audience today and all over the world. And